And welcome to Flamecast. This is Todd Pletz. And we also have...
Cory.
And...
Matt.
Yeah! We got Matt. All the way over from, other side of the globe, practically.
It's like a quarter of the globe. It's 6
Yeah,
hours.
it's like a quarter turn.
Well, it's more than we've ever done before, so... For all
It's the old
purposes,
world.
it's... Yeah. I just woke up 10 minutes ago.
Rolled out of bed, decided I have something worth recording. Nice.
I was gonna wake up 40 minutes ago. I'm I'll just lay here a little bit longer. Because Rachel and Savannah left for Rochester for her Saturday morning bowling. They won't leave until 8. And, they'll make enough noise, will wake me up. Well, I guess I kind of slept through most of that. So yeah, we haven't had any conversation since you moved out there.
No, I don't think so. I spent the first 6 months just figuring out the tax situation, making
Ooh.
sure all appropriate government departments understood that I was indeed married and had a son, which
Wow.
which takes a lot of repetition, but it finally got settled. It would take my first paycheck was July. By December, I had a regular. I mean, I had paychecks, but all the taxes were set then. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But that's all right. We're here. We're good. I have an office. I have a little cockpit desk. I have my big old monster desktop. I'm just waiting for Cyberpunk to come. I guess I'll go visit some castles in between now and then.
Awesome.
Lucky.
Rachel keeps saying that. Oh, we've only got so much time before we have to go out and visit Matt.
There you go. It's countdown. I have expectations. I've even set up a direct flight from Minneapolis. Starts this July on Aer Lingus. So I mean, what more can I do? My mom is so looking forward to that. Does not like transiting through airports.
I haven't been on a plane in about 5 years, I think.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Well, before
I
that, I
haven't
think
been on a
was.
plane in 32 days.
Well, I just remember last time I was on a trip, it was down to Florida and back. And going down to Florida, we ran into turbulence over Chicago. And, of course, there's me, white knuckled hanging on to the armrests. I'm just I never want to do this again. So Matt, if you can, build a bridge going across so I can drive
You can
out there.
take a ship. I mean, you can cross on the Queen Mary. I don't know how much vacation time you have off, or how much you want to pay.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle ships either. Yeah, I mean, I've never been on a cruise or anything, so I don't know how I'd handle it.
But you got a lot of exploring to do. You do have to get over here. We can do all that stuff. Paris is like an hour away. It's no biggie. And you can take a ship. You can take a ship and a train because you can go in the Channel Tunnel, or you can fly. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, if we do make it over there, you're driving.
That's fine. I'll say as much. I'll poke fun at the taxes and stuff, because literally, the tax rate. My first paycheck, I got less than half of it. The tax rate was 55%, and that's not health insurance and all that stuff's paid for. It doesn't come out of the check. That's always the net. It's just tax. Whack. But the one thing I was pleasantly surprised by, actually, and I've had opportunities to drive on the left-hand side of the road, and I hadn't taken it because it just seemed weird. London wouldn't be the place to try it out. That might be level 10. I'm just starting. It was actually pretty natural. It's somehow symmetrical, I think. Parking lots are screwed up because parking lots don't have any kind of rhyme or reason to them. So I'm screwed up now. Even when I go back to the U.S., I'm driving the wrong side of the parking lot.
I
Like if it's one way or something, like I can't figure it out now.
was
But
gonna
the
say.
roads were fine from the first drive. I'm like, yeah, that feels good, makes sense. I don't know why.
Well, I think some of those people that turn into Walmart in Rochester North are they must come from that part of the world because
That
they
would
always
explain
want to they always want to pull into that intersection on the wrong side of the median, and I'm like, people, you're gonna die. uh, God, I saw one just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that was a day of like loads of stupid drivers. I couldn't believe it, and that one just topped the cake. I'm just like, oh my God, I gotta get home.
Well, that's another thing actually. That's probably the last piece of illogical bureaucracy that we have is I have to take driver's ed again. You're able to drive on your foreign license for a year, but you turn into a pumpkin after a year, so then you have to take like classes, like literally written test classes and then driver's test, and you have to wait in it for 6 months.
Hmm.
My Julie can't understand how that is. Well, they trust you for a year and then you atrophy or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
they
seems.
should make you take the test right away. There's so many bad drivers in Rochester, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, that's like if they give you a month, maybe
No,
that'd
I'm
be
not
more.
arguing you should have less. They should just transfer over. It's fine. It's not that bad.
Well,
But yeah.
no, because I think people do need some like basic understanding when they come over, either there or here. And, yeah, they just let them go, and pretty soon people are becoming decapitated. And
Oh my god!
I just remember there was a.
Like you go from like old lady to Mad Max. Get out of the way!
I just remember it was like years ago, but there was these. It was a group of I
I
think some
remember.
Somalian drivers, and they were going out on Circle Drive on west side of Rochester, and they blew through some stoplights, and yeah, ended up going underneath the uh, the trailer part of a semi,
Yeah,
and yeah, decapitation. Like ah.
yeah. That's what happened to that guy that uh, the Tesla autopilot crashed a year ago.
Ugh.
The guy was watching Harry Potter
Oh,
under a trailer.
Yeah,
So
but
much for
people
that.
that are that stupid deserve to die, as long as they don't hurt anybody in the process.
that's so caring of you, Corey.
Well, you
At clause number 2, as long as they don't hurt anyone else.
people think that they can get in a Tesla and just turn it on and tell it to go where it needs to go. And it's
Magical
just
thinking.
not set up to do that. It's a driving aid. It's not a driving Miss Daisy situation. And I don't have sympathy for people that are so stupid that, oh, I'm going to watch a movie while I got my feet on the dash going down the road at 70 miles an hour and something
Yeah, but you don't
happens
need to
and
have
they.
a Tesla do that. I literally saw someone. The worst thing I saw commuting in Detroit on I-75 was a guy literally reading the newspaper. Like not like he had it folded up on the steering wheel, like full out 2 full pages spread out in front of him. But he was driving. What? What in the world is such an important article and an important appointment that you can't either pull over to read it and then go on? Because it's a newspaper, it's not a book. Or, wait till you get home.
At least get the online version.
Like subscribe to Sirius XM or something. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's deaf. He can't hear. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, reading the news, literally reading the newspaper. That made me go get some gas. Off.
Gosh, I remember driving to. I think we were going to Indiana. It was before you had moved over there, because I was with my parents, and we were just about to. I think it was like around Kokomo, somewhere in there, and
Okay, well, that's a weird coincidence. Seen you Kokomo before.
yeah, but so we're driving along the highway, and this guy passes us, and the guy's like erratic, like swing to the left, swing to the right, and everything, and I'm kind of looking at the guy, and I don't know if he was like on something or just trying to stay awake, but his head kept bobbing like down and up, and it looked like he was falling asleep at the wheel. And
That'll happen.
it's like, holy crap. And then it's like, well, we won't have to worry about it too much longer. Here's our turn. Yeah, that's where he turned to. It's like, just go slow, let him go, and you know, our place is like right here. So,
The most annoying Indiana driver I ever ran into. I was driving home late from Michigan on I-69, and there was a guy who was. It was weird. He's like I don't know what to say, the most timid, aggressive driver ever. Because and there's a lot of truck traffic on 69, right? They call that the NAFTA superhighway because there's all sorts of car parts going on in motorhomes and stuff.
yeah.
So you do a lot of passing. So this guy would go shooting down at 85, and then at every vehicle would come up to pass, even if it was like a semi, he'd pass it at like 66, and they're going 65. Like, what? And so you'd be behind him. It'd take him 10 minutes to pass a vehicle. And you're like, God, and then
Oh,
you move over,
jeez.
and then you're like, God, go. So then you pass him, whatever, and then he shoots by you, and then he blocks the lane again, and it was so frustrating. I'm like, the guy must have thought like every car was an unmarked cop waiting to get him. Or something. I don't know. I was trying to fit a theory in my head. People have a lot of different ways they drive.
Huh.
So I'm not entirely. I'll say I haven't seen Aquaman. I have, but I have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. I did go see Glass though last night.
Oh
My
yeah.
first adult movie. I saw Mary Poppins Returns too.
Can't say I've seen that, but
It had some interesting practical effects. A lot of practical effects in that movie, trying to make it stand up to the other one. So that was interesting. That was Alex's first movie. He fell asleep 20 minutes into it, but he enjoyed it.
so you saw Glass.
Yeah,
What'd you think of that?
I thought it was interesting. I do think a lot of people didn't like the ending of it. It was definitely not a sort of a Shyamalan classic big twist ending, but I think it stands up pretty well next to the other two movies. Pretty consistent.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it.
I was trying to obfuscate.
Yeah. Just because I had heard that, it's not getting any or very many good reviews, and I'm just
Well,
like,
yeah, because people go, "Oh, superhero movie. I wonder what planet they blow up." No, I mean, if you've seen, did you see Split?
No, I haven't.
See, the funny thing is, I just saw that last month. It was an ad for Glass. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't see the other one because I love Unbreakable. Unbreakable is an awesome movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
Oh, we'll go see that. At least see Unbreakable, and then you can judge. And I'll say, Split is a little bit different. It's not really a horror movie. I mean, none of them are really. It's a little bit different, but I thought Glass, it would stand up to sort of, a marathon watching of them through. I loved Unbreakable though. Very interesting movie.
Yeah, the only ones I've seen lately are Bumblebee and Aquaman, and that's
Alex
about
would go
it.
see Bumblebee if we let him. He loves Bumblebee, just the character, has a shirt and everything. Like, what has he seen? A movie poster.
Well, isn't that is that a PG?
Yeah, he doesn't get to PG either.
Oh, he doesn't?
No, he's not 4 yet.
Hey, we took Sean to Star Wars Episode 1 when he was 3 years old.
I know. I told Julie, I said, I saw Star Wars when I was 5. He's not waiting longer than that. She frowned at me. He loves Star Wars too. He sings along with Star Wars. He's seen the opening credits and then the closing. He's seen and not even like the whole opening scene, just at the scroll, because then the ships shoot at each other. You can't see that. And then the closing temple scene and then the closing credits. But he loves it.
Huh.
Just wait till you see the whole movie.
Yeah.
But he's seen Cars. He's all about Pixar. He loves Cars too. They actually had a Pixar some kind of local art theater which showed every Pixar movie this summer.
Huh.
And we were going to go to the original Cars to see it in the theater with Alex, but he threw a tantrum, so he didn't go. Why'd you spoil it, son? This is for you and me. No.
Yeah.
No.
That's too bad. Yeah, how's he adjusting to stuff over there?
Oh, he loves riding the train. We ride the light rail, which is called the Lewis, to school. He loves the train. He loves his class. He's going to an international school, so it's not just Irish kids, little Irish kids, but all over the world. So he has a great time.
Awesome. What was I gonna say? I'm still waking up yet.
All right, so what game? I need help because I mean, we hope Cyberpunk comes out next Christmas, and then the Jedi Fallen Order is like November. Like, what game is good between now and then? I'm just so itching. I went through a ton of tablet games. You go, God, they all just want me to collect loot and grind these stupid things I already saw last time. So I get very bored of them.
How about the only thing I've been doing is Lord of the Rings Online? So.
Oh my gosh, just eat your life. See, none of my friends do. Like, some friends are like, no, it's Elder Scrolls Online, and then it's Lord of the Rings. Nobody's together. It's like your PlayStation Xbox splits.
Yeah. Well, I'm finally getting through all the Mordor content, which was like 2 years old now.
Yeah.
Is it 2 years?
Yeah, it's about that.
Finding out that there's 2 deeds I can't complete unless I join a fellowship or a raid. And I'm like,
Yeah, see, multiplayer, you gotta do it.
That's
Sign
probably
up for
the
it.
collect the
There's a
pages
little
deed,
corner
isn't
of
it?
your soul we don't own yet. And you have to fully commit.
I can't remember the names of them, but I just looked up out because one of them was in like the southern part of Mordor.
I don't remember.
In that prison, and yeah, I'm going in there looking for these pages, and it's like I've already picked up the pages that were in here, and it says there's a new set of pages I have to pick up, and so I'm looking around, and it's like, okay, I'm not seeing them, and then I notice that there's an instance for them. So I look up the instance, like Fellowship, and there's no way you can do it like solo. It's like you need a Fellowship. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not gonna get the deed done then. And I guess when you finish all that, you get like a bookcase for all the books that you pick up. I'm like, well, I'll never get that either.
It's so funny to hear it just described with I mean, obviously I know the Lord of the Rings context or the game context. It's like secret bookshelf technology. Nobody else knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Just get a hobbit to make one. God.
No, I'm a woodworker. God, can't I make one? Come on.
Shelving. Why did I skip the class on shelving? Don't know how to make the brackets. They keep breaking. I can only do scrolls.
And all the trainers are like, we're not going to teach you on that. No, come on. No. You want a recipe for it? No.
So are you gonna play Jedi Fallen Order then? Could that take you away?
What is it? Is
That's
it a
the next.
RPG or is it a shooter?
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, who knows? But you get a wheel of lights. I think it's very much. And again, there hasn't been much. I think it's just a teaser trailer, but I think it's very much in line with like the Jedi Knight, the old games, right? You're walking through. So I don't know if they're going to have a multiplayer mode, but it's at, at at mostly is a solo story driven.
Hmm.
You're a Padawan after Order 66 surviving.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order. Really, it's the only Star Wars game other than Battlefront that survived Electronic Arts from canceling. Right, they canceled two in the last year. I saw a really good scathing review of Electronic Arts. How you have the trilogy coming out. People would buy anything Star Wars, and you keep canceling content.
Yeah, I've been reading about that.
Jeez, like
Yeah.
the I don't know.
I
I
thought
don't
this
know. I
game
don't
was
know
one
what
of
kind
them
of
that was
terms they
canceled.
bought it from LucasArts, but if it was anything based on gross or something, it's like everybody's coming up zero.
Huh. Back, what was that, about a month ago? They had the original Battlefront 2, like, dirt cheap on sale
Hmm.
through Galaxy Games and Steam, and even through Origin. But I was trying to figure out when they had it on sale. It's like, okay, are all these versions compatible with each other? Because they did open up multiplayer servers again
Oh,
for the game, and just reading up, it's like, oh, the servers keep crashing, or kicking people out, and there's this problem, that problem, and then I heard someone say that people that have the disc version of the game, it's incompatible with people that buy the online version of the game.
really?
Just like, man, come on. Because I'm like, I've got two copies of the disc version. Sean's got one, and I've got one. Of course, Corey's got one. I don't know if you ever got one, Matt.
I definitely have it. I don't know if I have the disc version or not.
I don't have a version of that game.
You don't?
You're saying Battlefront or Battlefront
Nope.
2?
Battlefront 2.
Oh,
Wait,
Battlefront
did you
2.
just
No,
get?
I never bought Battlefront 2.
Did you just get my version and then use a different CD key?
No, I think it was such that in a LAN situation, everybody could be using the same key because it wasn't going online.
Huh.
'Cause that's about the only time I played it is when it was when we were all at a LAN.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's just how games kind of were back then. If you wanted to go online, you had to have a unique identifier, and if you were doing a LAN, then you didn't have to have it.
Hmm.
But yeah, the goofiness of buying it on Steam and then you gotta play with someone that's on Steam, otherwise it might not work. That's just an annoyance.
Yeah. Hmm. Um, Man, otherwise, I don't know if I'd get it or not. The new game, because I've barely played the new Battlefront at all, just because I just don't find the time to do it, and that's probably the last game I bought in the last 2 years. And it was all right, but
Well, I bought it that one time when we played, and I spent the $5 on it, and I put a
yep,
few hours into it, and it just, yeah.
yeah, that was about it. I went on a little bit after that, and I just never got back to it again. Speaking of a game I never really got back to, about the worst purchase I ever made on a game was probably Star Trek Online because I probably haven't played in like
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, just think. Actually, I signed on before I moved because I was doing a bunch of account changes just to line stuff up, and I think like they redid the skill system and everything, so I was like busted down to private basically. Whenever I had a level, I didn't have any skill, but then you'd have to relearn the skill tree and do everything over again. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I remember the beta, and I was playing so much Starfleet Command and Elite Force that I'm like, that's all this game is.
Hmm.
Except for the Starship Combat was even more stupid because it was like, one type of a ship is a tank, another type is a healer, and another type was a DPS. And I'm like, no, these are starships. They do it all at a certain size, and that's it. You know, science ships aren't healers. That doesn't even make sense to me. And
Well, there are medical ships, but they're not going to
They're
not going to heal another ship.
But that was
like
the whole point of that game. That's how they did it. And I'm like, just no. It just didn't make sense. And I was burned out from the other games, and I just kind of walked away.
Remember when they used to have problems when you transition from space to ground and you'd be the other shape? You'd be like a tiny little starship floating on the ground. That was how transparent it was about their game mechanics. So it was literally kind of a fantasy sort of grouping.
Yeah, I want to fly around on the surface of the planet as the Defiant. Yeah, I mean, I've got all these games, and it's like I just don't have time for them all. I never did finish StarCraft 2. Like going through the solo player stuff. I ended up picking up, the old X-Wing series through, I think that was through Steam. So I've got X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance, and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. And I have yet to go through those again, and gosh, it's been like 3-4 years since I bought those.
It's such a bargain, except you actually haven't used it at all.
Yeah. Same with, I ended up picking up Star Trek 25th Anniversary and Judgment Rights through Galaxy of Games, and I still haven't gone through those either. Well, that's been a few years. And then I picked up, or I started a character on the Old Republic. And I haven't gotten back to that for, gosh, that was like summer.
I actually did play that a little bit after I came over here, even, and I haven't liked some of the changes they've made. I mean, it's okay. You wield a lightsaber and kill junk, but you have to hit it. You have to hit it with like 20 times with your lightsaber.
Oh, shit.
Is the battery dead?
Die!
It's those old lightsabers. They fixed it later.
Yeah, every once in a while I'd see Travis on there. Well, like once or twice. And that was about it. Otherwise I was kind of on my own. But, yeah, just not enough time. Not enough time for all this stuff.
You gotta retire so you can get to all the video games.
Yeah, there you go. I also have like 2 bookshelves full of movies to rewatch and such. And those I keep buying more. I got a pretty good, decent collection of Doctor Who DVDs, but of course now if I want to buy any more, most of them are like, way overpriced.
Oh yeah, they definitely are like rabid fan priced as opposed to TV series priced.
Well, I don't know why they stopped manufacturing them, because there's still a demand out there for them, and yet they cut like the production of all those off. Maybe it's not the same over where you're at, but over here it's just like insane.
No, over here, that's actually pretty funny. It's like a lot of retail is kind of like the '90s. Like there's actually Tower Records over here.
Oh
That whole
yeah.
thing about Tower Records went bankrupt? No, not true. All sorts of bookstores. That's where I found like those one Star Trek models. Is it was a bookstore and they had it on display in the magazine section, like a $50 magazine. Like what?
Huh.
But DVD and movie stores too. All sorts of record stores. And Amazon delivery date is between 2 and 4 weeks. They can't tell you. They can't tell you how long it'll take.
Oh my gosh.
Even
Wow.
though 10,000 Amazon employees work in Ireland,
Huh.
they actually did. They just started Prime like August or September, but we haven't switched our Prime over from the U.S. yet.
Hmm.
But there's still a lot of stores of different types that you just don't see in the U.S. anymore.
Huh. So do you have the different electrical system over there?
Yeah, it's the UK electrical system, so it's not even common with Europe. I had a lot of European adapters, but basically, if you have anything with a electric motor or heating element, don't bother. I actually brought the TV over. I mean, the whole computer setup, except for the speakers, is all set up to be dual voltage anyway. You just need new cables, but the TV isn't labeled dual voltage, but actually is. So
Oh.
we brought our TV over, having done. I didn't crack it open myself, but I saw internet research, and I'm like, I think it won't smoke. Let's plug it in. It was
Wow.
oh, it's fine. And I mean, it's 50 inch, but I think we got it in 2011 or 2010, something like that. So I mean, it's
Hmm.
if it burned out, we'll probably replace it sometime anyway. But it's fine.
Yeah. We're rich. If it smokes, we'll get new one.
Darn it, went through. Yeah, there's the Americans come in. They just throw the TV out this week. Get another one. Ah.
uh, so how's the TV viewing over there?
It's there's a lot of ways that you can view. I mean, whether so with a VPN service, which is actually quite plentiful over here, and an over-the-top thing, you can pretty easily emulate any U.S. city you want. But there's actually a lot. There's a lot of stuff like, um, although we just canceled our Netflix subscription, but Netflix over here has Star Trek Discovery as a Netflix original, which I laugh at.
Yeah. Netflix original. What the
Really?
hell?
Yeah. Really?
I mean, I
It
knew it was
sounds
on.
very familiar.
I knew it was on Netflix over there, but I didn't know they were trying to pass it off as a Netflix original.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's in there. So I watched most of the first season.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually,
you know, Rugby Six Nations is just up. Ireland beat England, so everybody's happy.
speaking of Discovery, because season 2 has started over here, and it's actually been pretty good. Um, I think better than the first season.
Yeah, I saw that they were kind of changing the tone.
Yeah, yeah. So when you get that far, I think you'll like it a little better.
Not till I get back. They canceled it this year. We'll see. Maybe we'll pick it up somewhere.
Um,
Too many subscriptions. Not like you said, not enough time. It's
Yeah.
very useful for binge watching when you're on the plane over, though. But
Oh,
it's also
yeah.
easy enough to turn on for a month and turn it back off.
yeah. But you've been getting your Doctor Who over there?
Oh yeah, yeah. Primary broadcast straight from the Beeb.
Yeah.
I only think I've watched. I'm on episode 7 or 8 of the current series.
Well, you're almost done.
Is it?
Well, I think there's only like 10 episodes or something like that.
They were on that medical ship. They like hit the sonic landmine and they had that little gremlin.
Oh yeah. Yep. Let's see here.
It's hard because it's like, okay, the kid has to go. Doctor Who's another thing. And again, he really likes the opening titles, but like can't watch anything else. So, all right, he goes to sleep, and if I'm not dead tired and I don't have to get up early in the morning, then I can maybe slip in the episode. But he sleeps right above there too, so you have to do it quietly.
Yeah, that one it's not so much.
I guess it is just 10. Wow, that is short.
Yeah. Well, that's
Julie's very happy, or she can't wait to see Kerblam. Who would name that one? Oh, episode 5, I guess is how we are. The Turanga Conundrum, which sounds like a Big Bang Theory episode.
Yeah, it does.
But okay. Not that I'm complaining.
I think for myself, going through those, I think most of them were kind of so-so. Like, the last one is probably the best one out of the group. So, which is actually, when I'm watching mine, because they, get certain titles named to them by the people who supply them. Yeah, the last episode, which was like New Year's Day, they're counting that as Series 12 instead of Series 11.
Oh yeah, they do that a lot for the specials. Yeah.
Even though you would think, I mean, it was only like 2-3 weeks after the last episode of Series 11. And then they named it Series 12, even though you're not going to get any until like the fall again. I'm like, wouldn't you count that in Series 11?
No, the
I don't get it.
specials are a thing. I don't get it either because you don't necessarily find them. The like setting up a DVR through. Well, that's the other thing too. Cable is like half price. like my full cable and 300 megabit broadband is $70 a month. That's like we could drop the cable and it'd be $30 a month. But you have, when you search, it's very narrow. You search and they only if you're like record this series, it's because they say series, it's only like that season. So you have to go back and reset it, or if they have one-off specials and it doesn't get it, you have to be really on top of your DVR game if you want to get it.
Yeah.
They have all sorts of stuff. They have like American Pickers is on. I mean, they have all sorts of U.S. Like all MasterChef. They have MasterChef UK. They have MasterChef US. Dancing with the Stars. There's like 3 or 4 different countries Dancing with the Stars. Not that we watch that, but there's like all sorts of stuff. All sorts of very recognizable TV advertising. Oh, but then there's the Crystal Maze. Oh my God, that's a twisted game. That's a twisted show. It's almost like MST3K in that it's so bad it's good. I highly recommend that just for like a strange British. I guess it's a game show because they can win stuff, but it's funny.
So it'd be more like MXC, Most Extreme Elimination Sports.
Yeah, well, and it's not so much funny because they try to be like quasi-immersive, except then the host makes all sorts of comments like it's not. But yeah, kind of like that. Not quite as absurd, not Japanese absurd, right? MXC is obviously Japanese absurd.
Yeah.
This is more British, not quite Monty Python-ish, but kind of that way.
Huh.
But Alex likes it too. So.
Crystal Maze, huh?
Yeah.
I'll have to write that down. Maybe I'll catch one and see what it's
You can't
like.
be bothered to play Battlefront or whatever, but Crystal Maze is on there. Try it once. Try it once. You'll either say it's the most inane show ever, or you'll be addicted. Just be careful.
Huh. Let's see here. I was gonna say, where exactly are you located? As far
What do you mean?
as,
In my house?
well, I mean, if I was gonna look you up on the map, are you like in a surrounding town of Dublin, or
No, it all
where
pretty much
where
is.
are you?
Dublin is so they you call it the city center is like the old city Dublin. Like where I am, when we graduated college, where I am would have been like as the city ended, the very outskirts. But now it's like the middle. So
Huh.
the place is called Milltown. Although there are several mill towns in Ireland, but it's basically south suburbs.
Hmm.
It's definitely not like I mean we're in a what they call a terraced house, so it's like a townhouse. There's probably there's four in the building, but then there's a bunch around there. But we have a big common green in the middle and a little bit of a yard in the back, a garden. So it is very suburban as opposed to like you know urban but town kind of with a bunch of restaurants or something up and down. It's not like that.
Okay.
We're right next to um, uh, actually I think it's the biggest college in Ireland. It's UCD, University College of Dublin, which sounds redundant, but they have a nice campus. They have a really big, expansive campus. They're just to the east of us.
Huh. So, like, how far of a drive is work for you?
Oh no, you don't drive.
Oh,
Driving it would be probably about 2 hours because they have I can't even describe the level of traffic they have. Um,
yeah.
I once took, and this is obviously a particularly bad once, but I walked home one day. So I walk and then I take the train and then I walk again, and that's 45 minutes, which is the same length of time as Detroit, except that I can also walk home without the train in an hour because I can kind of walk directly. So that way I take the train goes north to south and I still have to walk east to west. Right, so you make a triangle. I can
Yeah.
walk the diagonal. I once took a series of pictures on my phone of a pickup truck that was following me as I walked. Like for 25 minutes of that hour, the pickup was making the same amount of progress. It was like, I mean, back and forth a little bit, but right next to me the whole time because the
That's
traffic is so
crazy.
bad. But the big thing is I do work in the city center. It's right off the Grand Canal. So not the River Liffey, which splits it north to south, but not far from there, and there's literally no parking. So our building, which we have 150 people for, but is the whole building is 450, has 15 parking spaces. So that's like for the CEO, but he lives so he their apartments are so close they would walk anyway. But you don't you people do drive in, but it's optional extra torture.
Yeah. Huh.
So driving is a thing. I did just fill up my gas tank uh, 2 weeks ago, and the last time I filled up my gas tank was October. So driving is for basically going to and from the airport, or to
Yep.
and from IKEA, which is by the airport, or sometimes grocery shopping. Because actually, that's one thing that's a little bit more advanced in the U.S. is grocery delivery. So most of our groceries are delivered. Um,
Hmm.
or if we're going out out into the countryside somewhere to go visit something.
Well, I mean, some of that's just because there's less landmass to cover, so it just makes things like that easier to implement.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter for commuting. But yeah. I mean, if we drove from Detroit to Chicago, you'd fall off the end of the island. It's about 3 hours across.
Yeah.
So I talk about driving 12 hours to get home to Minnesota, and they just look at me like I drive 4 times as long as conceivable to go to a place that's 30 below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an incredible tale in multiple dimensions.
Yeah.
Couldn't possibly be.
Huh. Uh, well, this is going to be a two-parter, I think, because we've got you guys on one, and I'm thinking I've got Wes and Travis on the other, which they're gonna record sometime in the evening next week. Mm. But yeah, we're almost running into an hour here, so people get like 2 Flamecasts for
the price of one.
the price of one, which you're paying 0. So
Yeah. You're paying bandwidth. I mean, I don't know, using up your.
yeah, that's true. But
there you go. Maybe we can ask for suggestions. So I'm waiting on Cyberpunk 2077, Jedi Fallen Order, Outer Worlds from Obsidian looks good, and MechWarrior 5. And I think MechWarrior 5 is the first one. The other 3 don't even have a month, so they're probably Christmas, if at all, 2019. And MechWarrior 5 is delayed till September. I need something to scratch the gaming itch. And I'll admit I did buy Fallout 76.
Oh.
Which, no, not right away though. Not on launch day. I let it go for a while, and I still, I mean, it's still okay. The equipment volume you get is insanely low, but it's mostly fun. I'm doing okay, but that only scratches some itch. It's really,
Yeah, I've heard that game's got so many problems. It's crazy.
It definitely did. It definitely launched super buggy, and of course you have people exploit them as soon as they do, right? As soon as they figure out about it.
Yeah, and that's always the player's fault because the devs can't fix stuff. I like that. People get mass bannings, and then it's like, you know, it's all the players. It's like, well, the devs should have fixed it in the first place, or they should just fix it now instead of keep banning people.
yeah.
It's kind of a double-edged sword. And if it's in the game, it's in the game. That's what I say.
Yeah. So there's Anthem, but that seems to be kind of like your issue, Todd. Is there's going to be some forced multiplayer to do everything that's in Anthem? Otherwise, that looks very interesting. And then there's what's the one? Exodus. Metro Exodus. Looks kind of like what Fallout used to be. That might be a little much for me. And then there's the Division 2, which kind of looks interesting, but Division had a bunch of forced multiplayer too. So I don't know. Old school gaming just isn't a big enough market anymore.
It's because everybody's got ADHD.
Yeah. Well, I'm gaming to get away from people. See, that's the thing. Don't expose me to more people. These are the ones I don't want. I can get those every day.
Yeah, that's been something I've been looking at. I've been looking at just stop playing Lord of the Rings online completely and start picking up some just single player games because I just don't want to interact with people all the time anymore. It's like, you know, pick up a shooter and just run around for a couple hours and then done.
Yeah, your name in that game is like too well known.
You have a reputation.
Well, I can't even take my guy out for PvP anymore because the devs, they made so many changes that it's just completely useless in PvP because I can't get mitigations without sacrificing literally all of the damage output. Whereas before I used to be able to find a balance. Now it's either one or the other, and it's just broken.
And then all the players that see you, they're like, there's Cory. We're gonna go get him.
The people on the server I play on, there's not really anybody there that knows me from the old servers. And the only reason they come at me now is because they know that guards just melt out there. I mean, the BAs can put down a 3-pronged trap, and if I run through all 3 points, if I don't heal, it will
kill you.
Kill me. It'll take like because it does like what was it? Like 13,000 damage every 2 seconds times 3 for like 15 or 20 seconds or something. I mean, it does like 200,000 damage. And you can't clear the bleed or anything. You just die. If you run through it and you don't have a heal available, a big heal, you're done. They don't even need to attack you. They just put the trap down and you're done. And I mean, it's just completely broken out there.
I never go out there myself anyway, so.
Yeah, you got bookshelves to make.
Yeah.
That's where the action's at. Furniture.
My worst enemy. Trying to find a hammer.
Yeah, the hammer of Gargatha will strike a nail and never your thumb.
So Matt, you gonna make it back for Star Wars Celebration Chicago?
Is it Chicago?
Yeah.
No, there's an investing conference too that I would be very interested in. That's Chicago too this year. Like, Chicago? When is it?
April 11th through 15th.
Oh, let's do it. No, I'm going to be we're going to my dad's in Florida for Easter, and then we're going to be with my aunt and uncle in South Carolina that weekend.
Another thing to throw out at you is they're getting information together to have a 30th class reunion.
Oh.
Or a 30-year class reunion. Of course, it's going to be in Fairmount again, but
Yeah.
Gosh, what were the dates on that? It was like some time in August, like was it the second weekend in August? Oh, I know. I think I got it on my calendar. Well, no, I don't have it on my calendar. But I think it is the second weekend, so like 9th and 10th. August 9th and 10th. Because it's the same exact weekend as the new comics convention that's in Rochester.
Yep.
Because yeah, they're selling, early bird tickets for the con already, and it's like, what am I going to do?
I don't know. 30 is a weird year too, though, right? Don't you just skip from 25 to 50? I don't remember my mom having 30 and 40. Maybe you do.
I don't know. I guess it depends on what the people want to do. But since I missed out on 25, I was thinking maybe I'd go to the 30.
Now that's the thing. So we can combine gameplay and travel. So do you have your travel booked for the opening of Star Wars Land yet, Todd?
No, I figured I'd wait like a year or two after it opens, so it's not like totally jam-packed with people.
When the hotel opens, are you gonna pay for the hotel and immersive experience?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I saw and I believe it for Disney. I saw some places talking about it being like 1,000 a night.
Oh God.
Well, and you'd say that's nuts. How could it be? Except a regular hotel at Disney is 300 a night.
Yeah, except that when we went down to Florida, we ended up staying. We basically got a townhouse to ourselves and paid like just over $100 a night. And I mean, yeah, we had to drive in. And it was about 5 miles, but it was like definitely worth it to stay kind of out in the outskirts and drive in, because I mean they had a pool and everything. We get a whole, kitchen, everything. It was like,
yeah, but I'll tell you, being on prem is actually pretty good too, though, because then you're not driving, then you're staying late for the late show and everything. I mean, I remember we went with my aunt and my cousin, and I don't think we headed out of the parks before 2 a.m. And what's open then, like the stores stay open as long as there's people, basically. So you just wander back, and then they have the night bus instead of the regular bus routes. Those are interesting people. But it's all, And I get what you're saying. I mean, certainly for value it's good, but there's a lot of hassle that you save, and even if you stay multi-day, like if you are shopping, they'll send the stuff back to your room.
Hmm.
So if you get souvenirs or something, you're not lugging it around. Yeah, just send it to my room. Okay, it's magically there.
Well, I mean,
And
that's
then
what
you
we
get
had.
your extra hours in the morning and the evening.
I was gonna say, as far as lugging stuff around, that's what we had the kids for.
You want it, you carry it. But it's
Just give
yours,
it.
Dad. You
We just
stopped it.
gave them. They each brought a backpack, and it's like, okay, you're carrying the food, you're carrying the stuff that we buy, and you carry whatever.
Holy cow! Disneyland's new Star Wars ride is rumored to be 28 minutes long.
Wow.
That can't be. There was someone talking about that. That's like, so they have that Millennium Falcon ride, and you can hold 6 people in the cockpit, and then there's 6 of them. It's like you do 36, every whatever it's going to be, 6 minutes, 36 minutes. It's like, you can get a few hundred through a day. And how many people are going to descend on this place?
They better make another Millennium Falcon then. They gotta run these people through faster than that. God.
Well, that's like Mission to Mars is that way. I assume a lot of the technology is similar to Mission to Mars, like in terms of feeling acceleration, because they basically spun you and then they got
Oh,
you
Jesus
facing forward,
Christ.
so it feels, just feels like you're back. As long as you don't turn your head, you don't break the illusion.
Hmm.
So I'd assume it's a lot of similar technology to that. But there's not
Yeah.
exactly a world full of Mission to Mars fans ready to get on there.
Yeah, when we went down to Florida, we did go on the little Star Wars ride they had down there.
Yep, Star Tours. What used to
Yep,
be
the Star
Tours.
Tours one. And yeah, I wasn't going to go on it, but Sean wanted to go really bad, and he talked Shelby into going, and I'm like, I don't know, and he was a teenager. He had an attitude. It's
What,
he
he
was
was
like,
heckling the
"Well, if you-"
characters or something?
he's like, well, if you're not going, I'm not going. And then Shelby's like, what am I gonna do then? So I'm like, okay, God, I'll go. And I went on, and man, I think dealing with the turbulence on the airplane was better than dealing with what I was going through in that ride. I'm just like, oh my God, this actually makes me think I'm gonna get sick. I basically sat there and just closed my eyes the whole time because I'm like,
So did you go on
motion
Tower of
sickness
Terror?
is too bad. Hell no. No.
But the ride's the ride, but you're missing out. That's one of the best um, special effects sequences I remember from there. Was, so there's a story, right? There's part of a story while you're in line, then there's a story kind of while you're going up. But they take a hallway and they fade it into a star field, but it's like for real. Like, that's awesome. I want a hallway in my house to do that. Like floor and everything, right? So they must have fiber optic lights. And it's not a real floor because you're riding a ride in through there, but
Yeah.
it's a hallway, and all around you, not just 360, but above and below you too, fades to a star field. Like, that's awesome. And then you fall 5 stories or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's not good. I'm just not one for rides at all.
Yeah, I don't do rides much anymore either. Too old.
I got my 3 criteria. I'm not going down fast. I'm not going upside down. And what was the third?
Unknown, classified.
I just remember it.
I don't know what it is.
At Valley Fair, the pirate ship that swung around and went upside down and
Lucas
stuff.
Stars.
That violated all 3 of my rules. I just remembered, so I was like, no,
Facing
never.
other people.
God, okay. Going down really fast. It must be the heights. Being up that high.
Oh,
So, there we go. There's all three.
you're missing out on some fun though. Then
No, I think I'm missing out on passing out.
That kind of fun is for young people that don't know any better.
no.
Yeah. People like Shelby.
I got my share of rides in when I worked on the carnival, so
Yeah.
I
Well, yeah,
just
I can
have
understand.
no desire.
It's next professional.
Yeah.
Oh, here I'm reading that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is getting its own miniseries, comic book miniseries.
Yeah, I heard
You have
something
to read
about
up
that.
before you go.
So they, yeah, created a story to go along with the park.
Yeah, it hits in April.
Uh,
Galaxy's Edge #1.
yeah, I haven't been getting any of the Star Wars comics, but maybe for the sake of, if I know for sure I'm going there, maybe that'd be one I'd pick up.
And you have to bring it with you. Wait, I know the answer to this ride. Here, wait. Reading along. There's supposed to be, that's another thing. Even on more local news, there's supposed to be a Star Wars VR experience at Mall of America coming. I saw a poster for
Interesting.
that. There's like a VR thing, and you can do different ones, but one of them is like fighting stormtroopers. What is that called? I forget. I took a picture of it.
I don't know. That's the first I've heard of it.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't been keeping up on news like that, I guess, but
Oh, the Void. The Void is the general place, and then there's like a Ghostbusters one, and Wreck-It Ralph, but then Star Wars Secrets of the Empire. It even has a trailer. I don't know when it's opening though. It says buy tickets, like it's already open. Where?
oh gosh, this is like old news.
Yeah. But I don't think it's open at Mall of America yet. They got a lot of other places.
Yeah, Forbes has an article on it from April 4th of last year.
For Mall of America, or just about the thing?
Yeah, just about the thing. They don't say anything about the mall as far as I can tell here.
So there you go. You don't have to wait for a conference. We could just do that sometime.
Interesting.
Except then you actually have to be fast, right? It's not just button mashing.
Yeah. Well, we should mention that this podcast is actually a milestone. Because it's the 50th Flamecast that we've done now. So, yeah. And yeah, you were on the first one, and now you're going to be on the 50th. So you'll have to come back when we hit 100.
I was gonna say, now I have an obligation. Show up at least every 50th episode. I'll show up.
Yeah.
Like the strange guest star that's just does cameos.
Well, yeah, we should get you in on more of these.
Just
I know,
make you
before
wake
it
up in
was-
the morning on a weekend.
Yeah, by the time I wake up, you've gone through like half the day already. So.
Yeah. Believe me, it's where we got. Actually, I think we're supposed to talk to them today, but the brother-in-law's in Alaska, so that's. I forget if that's 9 or 10 hours. That's almost the whole day.
Yeah.
How was dinner? I don't know. How was breakfast?
uh, well, I think we'll call this one a day here, because we're running just over an hour. Don't want to make it too long, and
It's the show about nothing.
yeah.
We're catching up with all the things we don't do anymore. That'll
That's
be the
pretty
theme.
much what this was.
What don't you do? What have you seen here? No, nothing. Movies? Nothing. Gaming? Nothing. Travel? No. Reading? Does anybody read still?
Yeah, I read what's on the computer screen. God, I haven't picked up a book in like years. So
I haven't read a lot of fiction. That's the last fiction I read.
yeah.
I don't
Anything
read a
I've
lot.
been reading, it's just online.
I've read a lot of Irish history and a lot of travel.
Oh. And on that note,
We sneeze our way out of here.
yeah, that's number 50 Flamecast. So, yep, this is Todd Plutz again,
This is Cory.
And Matt.
and that's a wrap.